Now, a Warwickshire woman whose husband died after receiving contaminated blood is welcoming the start of a long-awaited inquiry into the scandal. Around 2,500 haemophiliacs and other patients are thought to have died after being given contaminated blood when they had transfusions in the 1970s and 80s. Campaigners have spent the last 30 years calling for an inquiry into how this happened. Let's speak now to Liz Hooper from Kineton, who lost her husband in December. He was infected with hepatitis C and HIV after receiving contaminated blood. Good morning, Liz.
Morning, Trish.
So sorry about Paul.
Thank you.
Tell us about the events leading to his death.
Well, Paul had, he used factor 8 to treat the bleeds that he had through haemophilia because his blood didn't clot. And the factor 8 that he was given was infected with HIV and hepatitis C through blood products being bought in from abroad that were basically taken from prisoners and drug addicts. In America, they get paid for giving blood, so they would go in and give blood. And the prisoners were also used as well. But Paul was never told about the fact that obviously it was contaminated. The government knew that it was contaminated and yet still went ahead and sent out the factor 8 that then went on to contaminate Paul's blood and many thousands of others.
Liz, when you found out, and when you both found out that this was the case, can you describe that moment?
Well, I wasn't actually with Paul when he found out. He found out about 30 years ago that he was contaminated with HIV. I was with my first husband, Jeremy, who was also sadly a victim of the contaminated blood. He he was infected with hepatitis C, not HIV. And when we were told, they'd known that Jeremy had got hepatitis C for 10 years prior to them telling him. When we were told that he'd got it, both of us were just, flabbergasted, angry. We, by that time, had a child, and there was a possibility that our son could have been contaminated with hepatitis C through sexual activity. They knew that Jeremy was going to become a father. They knew I was pregnant, yet they didn't tell us. So you can just imagine the anger. I had a test to make sure I was clear. And as such, Lewis would have been clear as well. So that was all put to bed. So that was fine. But we then went on to live a terrible life with it.
Just an incredible turn of events. I mean, Liz, what are you hoping will come out of this inquiry?
Truth. There's been so much washed away, brushed under the carpet. We've all been made to feel like we are troublemakers, and there's nothing going on. It's just conspiracy and all of that sort of thing. It's truth and justice for both of my husbands, both Jeremy and Paul. Both deserve the truth.
Are you looking for compensation, Liz? Are you looking for some sort of financial compensation?
Trish, I'm in the throes of selling my house. My financial situation is absolutely dire since Paul died because of the fact that I lost the majority of my finances from when he died. But I mean, and the money would be fantastic, but for me personally, no. I just want to know why my husbands were both infected with this. There's not enough money in this world that they could pay me to alleviate the bitterness and hurt and sadness and grief that me and my son and Paul and Jeremy's wider family have gone through because of this.
Liz.
There's just no monetary value to be put on them. So for me personally, compensation is the least of my concerns right now. I just want to know why, and I want to know the truth.
Liz, thank you so much for speaking to us. Liz Hooper there. Thank you. From Kineton, who lost her husband's because of that contaminated blood scandal. It is 14 minutes to 8.